since I have slowly been actually accumulating the D100 dungeon books. After the first one was gifted to me by, I believe it was Zach Campbell, a couple months back.
So looking over all this carnage before me, all I see is someone who has no idea how to perform standard Mully combat. You are a fool. Get out of this arena.
Well, howdy, 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 nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this brand new day of noise reduction. I have the fan on low in the window. I have the door actually open because my housemates are not here at this moment, and so I'm trying to keep a breeze going through. We're going to be hitting at least the mid-90s today. I remember some 10 years back when it hit September 1st. We never got temperatures over 70. And now, well, it cools down like toward the end of November. We stop hitting temperatures around here. So that's joyous. But at night, it still does get chilly. So my space heater here, I set it for 65 now, starting last night. And I set it real close to the hamster cage, so the ghost there ain't gonna freeze. No danger of anything melting. It's only 65 degrees again. Thumbs up for that. And of course, front-loading of videos. Hey, if you like what you hear and see, if you could toss me a like, that'd be cool. And if you like what you hear and see, and you haven't subscribed yet, if you could hit the subscription button and the notification bell, that would be awesome. If you could leave me a comment, that would be, of course, double plus good. And I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. See, literally beautiful and literally awesome people are literally beautiful and literally awesome. Without their monetary assistance, I and my pets, especially my little hamster Ghost, would be hosed like Christmas monkeys. And trust me, being hosed like a Christmas monkey is not the way you want to be hosed. So thank you to each one of those people. And if you would like to become a patron, I have links in the video description below. Definitely a thumbs up on that. If you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, there are links to a PayPal where you can send donations. And if you'd like to help me out without sending money, there's an Amazon wishlist link as well. Definitely a thumbs up on that. And of course, I have my post office box where you can send me anything from postcards to keychains, anything you'd like, and I will show it all off on video if anyone sends anything. So thumbs up on that, and front loading a video over. Yay! Thumbs up. So yesterday, there is a fair amount of stuff that I want to talk about, as well as creative stuff, because I did something really, really stupid yesterday out of desperation, and I am still doing something stupid today. I had to stop taking Ritalin in March because my blood pressure hit 200 over 100 while I was taking it. High blood pressure, of course, is bad. But a big difference between your bigger number, your diastolic, and your lower number, your systolic, I think, I can't remember the names now, whether it's one or the other, the high number and the lower number, you know, like 120 over 80. That was 200 over 100. That means there was a ton of pressure inside of my head. That's like stroke territory. So I can't take Ritalin. Last night, because I have not been able to think. I have not thrown away my last prescription bottle, and I took a Ritalin last night, along with one of the other medications I have, guanfacine, for blood pressure. My blood pressure last night was good. After I went walkies and came back, it had been like 4 or 5 hours since I had taken the medication, and my blood pressure was good. So I wasn't too worried. This morning, I took another 20 milligrams of Ritalin and a blood pressure medication tablet. My doctor at the Veterans Administration says unless my blood pressure just gets over 140 over 90, don't really freak out too much over it. I'm getting older. One of the reasons your blood pressure goes up as you get older is your cells are unable to get rid of the sodium inside of your system as well as it used to. Thus you retain more fluid, thus your blood pressure goes up. I have a huge fluid retention problem. Back from the mid-90s to the mid-2000s, I kept getting cellulitis, which is a horrible skin infection that can kill you, and I almost died many times. but it burned out the lymph system in my lower extremities, my legs. And your lymph system is both a fluid transportation system to keep the fluid moving through your body, and also it's a method of helping you when you get infected. You have lymph nodes where a bunch of the killer cells are harbored, and then they flood out to help when you're infected. I was so sick, it looked like someone had taken literal irons and just sheared the insides of my thighs the one time I got that sick. And my lymph system was gone after that in my lower extremities, and I still swell up. I have to wear support stockings still because I swell up, and that's joyous. But I took a Ritalin and a blood pressure med this morning at about 6 o'clock. I took my blood pressure just before I started recording. 140/80. Not bad. I'm going to take it again later and see if I need to take more blood pressure medication. I cannot obviously do this much or often unless I want to die. So, yay. But I just, not being able to think or remember or concentrate or focus hurts so much. I am willing to take the hit to my health just so I can get my brain close to normal again. On the other hand, my genetic my genetic father has been calling fairly recently, and I've been trying to call back, but I've had the executive dysfunction and I had not been able to do so. Finally, he called yesterday as I was editing at a time when I was around and could answer the phone. But since I was editing, we talked for a few minutes, and then I said, I'm really, really busy. I'll call you back in about 45 minutes. And so I called him back, and we talked for a time. And boy, oh boy, I mean, he's in his 80s, and he's been on disability for a long time because of toxic fume inhalations when he was younger. And so he's had damage up here because of the fumes and such like that. But boy, when he was just talking about his life, I could tell that, yeah, I know where I got my ADHD from. My half-brother takes Adderall for his ADHD. And boy, oh boy. So, thumbs up. But we talked for a while, and he's going to call back sometime after the 23rd of this month because he's getting pretty busy. And we didn't talk about a ton, as stated, because it was kind of out of the blue, and I've not really thought about him much. I mean, why would I? Especially since with my ADHD, my particular position on my particular autism spectrum, I am very out of sight, out of mind. So, hey. On the other hand as well, since I have been, it's over here, since I have slowly been actually accumulating the D100 dungeon books. After the first one was gifted to me by, I believe it was Zach Campbell a couple months back, I managed to scrape up the money to not eat because it cost, about a week's worth of food. I bought book 6 out of the 6 books. I have since bought book 3, and I think book like 4 or 5 or some such like that is going to be showing up soon. One of them I don't really care about. It's a campaign book, no extra rules. But I have got that huge stack of 300 plus odd pages. I've got these books down here. The only thing that makes it tougher to play when you've got added rules is they can't update a rule set like it's online. It's a hard copy. So the new rules just say, okay, when you hit this step in the main rule book, this is an extra step that you can choose. So you have to remember when you're going through the main game loop in the main book that you have to jump to the other book because that's an option. So you got to compile your own tables to do that sort of thing. Martin Knight, the author of this, great ideas, desperately needs an editor. One of the things that you're supposed to do, and I say supposed to do because I spent decades reading and collecting role-playing games, pen and paper role-playing games, is you introduce a bunch of things. Like if you're going to introduce rules that have tables, you largely bring all those rules with those tables that are similar together. And then you summarize at the end of that section all the tables so that they're in one easy to use spot. Martin Knight doesn't do that. You've got to flip through pages because they're not accumulated in one spot. There's a test here, and then you flip 2 other pages to learn how to do this sort of test, and then flip back for this kind of test, and good book, but. So I've been watching more videos to get stuff clear in my head, and yay, but I just wanted to mention that, as well as there are some parts of the game that I'm never really going to be able to do. There's something called the mapping game, because you're supposed to map on pencil and with pencil and paper the dungeon that you're in. But with the mapping game, you don't have to actually pencil and paper it. You pick cards and then you put them down and you get little pieces for your gold that you pick up and this sort of stuff. And it becomes a 3D representation on your tabletop instead of just written on a piece of paper. If you buy this through the normal place you get it, it's a print and play. So you buy the PDF and then you have to print it. If you purchase the physical thing, it's close to $60 because it's made by a company over in the UK and then they ship it over here. There are some of the products that aren't that tough that are close to $100 if you want the physical hard copy. I wouldn't mind getting the print and play one, but I have to go up to the library to do printing. And while you can do color printing, you can't print on cardstock. So I would just have literal sheets of small floppy paper that I'd be trying to do this with. Luckily, you don't need the mapping game to play. Thumbs up for that. Now that I'm talking about all this sort of stuff, I'm going to talk about my creative setting, because last night I was doing a lot of thinking about the various cryptid stuff, as well as this morning trying to remember the stuff that I was thinking of. One of the things was I've been doing a lot of work on the character. I've mentioned this character before as being a high power cryptid. Well, high power for... There are 3 levels of power in everything that you can look upon, it being an artificial way to look at the world imposed upon nature, so it's not a deterministic thing, it is a descriptive thing. But low power cryptids hang around where people are with our stuff. Mid power cryptids are starting to move away from our world. It's more of just a distraction, and they're more getting into the cryptid part of living. High power cryptids really don't deal with us down here. This is what children do. Children play around down here, and when you're mature enough, you'll come up here where the adults are. And then of course the next step up is actual cryptid world, where you can't even perceive our world, we can't perceive it, but it's different entirely. So these are low to mid-tier individuals, except there's Reginald, who's the werewolf, who's an actual high-tier cryptid, but hangs around with us. And the high-power cryptids actually are okay with that, because while physically he's of the high power and should be up there with him and, you know, not playing with toys, as a species, as an individual, hanging around with us is age appropriate, and they are fine with it. When he is ready to put away children's toys and become an adult, they'll be ready for him. But this one character who I've described as, you know, he's got a beard, short, it's not long, maybe that much at most, and a mustache, shortish black hair, wears a long brown leather duster, which is, you know, just a trench coat type thing, and it's got like a shotgun and filled with weaponry, hangs around intimately with human beings, looks physically like a human being, can think like a human being, isn't a human being, is a cryptid, but Lynn Tanner is one of the tougher cryptids in Brookerton. Not because Lynn Tanner is physically tough. If you hit Lynn Tanner with an 18-wheeler going 80 miles an hour, you're going to hurt him, but he's going to get back up eventually, and then, oh boy, are you going to regret that. There are other cryptids that Lynn Tanner hangs around with, like the late Cornetto, who would have deliberately just stood there when the 18-wheeler was there, get hit, and then just get up, laugh, and take care of you right there. Lynn Tanner is tough because he doesn't let himself get into situations where you can hit him with an 18-wheeler. Everybody else just gets up after they're hit. He makes sure he doesn't get into that situation. So when Cornetto and Tanner head down into the second basement of the Pol Pot Manor, it's actually King Mike who's asking them to do that, because whenever they're in town, Cornetto and Tanner are two of the hardest motherfuckers in Brookerton. And if anything is down there, they should be able to live through it. Which, of course, not necessarily the case, since after all, Cornetto got hit with this thing and came apart. And when Tanner had to go back down to lock the door, since he legged it out of there fast, the only thing that is physically left to show that Cornetto ever existed as a physical being is just a few blood smears. Yay. So he does do things that we would call foolish, but he's also really tough. Now, one of the other things that I was thinking of, there's a situation where Jerry Brighthammer, the human being who has maxed out cryptid vision, would be talking with, like, Lynn Tanner, and end up saying something really semi-foolish, like, oh, so I should be considered the house human then. And then when Tanner just sort of is quiet for a long time, just staring at him, he's going, I think I flew too close to the sun on that one. He probably understands the reference. And so Tanner would say, okay, two things. Number one, you probably think you're making a very clever and apt comparison there. You are not. Number two, you're giving yourself far, far more self-importance than you should. Your position is less that of having a home inside of the plantation owner's house, and more, think of yourself and all the human beings around you as vapid, uncaring, unknowing, cud-chewing sheep that we, of course, feed upon. But you and a few others, you know, and can perform on command one or two simple tricks. And it's this that we haven't eaten you yet. All of the others, we're going to eat them first. But you're kind of special. You can do tricks. So we'll eat you last. So don't put too much self-importance on yourself. You're not in the position of someone in the plantation master's house. You are not all that. So come on, let's head out and eat someone. Because even though they ain't all that, he is still Tanner's companion. And since Jerry's never actually eaten someone, he decides, well, you know what? You're going to kill him anyway. I might as well join you. I've never eaten someone. Might as well find out what it's like. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments on my community tab. Going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended. And even though I count in American Sign Language, well, I'm the one that takes Ritalin when I know that it's going to kill me. We have One Life, who has some interesting things to say. Tour Phil, thumbs up and thank you. We have Jesse Koskinen. I tried my best. It just struck me as really funny to watch all those lunatics in oblivion. Greatly appreciated and always good to see you. Candido Cruzada, we have, thank you very much, greatly appreciated. J-A-Y-Y. I don't like spiders on me or near me. I still have a primitive fear of creepy crawlies. And that includes things like, you know, ants, roaches, moths. If I just see it on me, or I wake up and it's crawling on me, I'm gonna freak out. Doesn't matter what it is. So it's yay. We have the Horror Files. Always good to see you in the comments. There is Dristan, Y-A-N-C-A-C. Thumbs up, and boy, isn't anxiety fun. We have Ben B. Always good to see you in the comments as well. Adrian FNTES. And oh, jumping back up to Ben B. Yeah, my housemates don't often knock on the door. I don't often have the door shut, so they don't often knock. And that, oh, it was a shocker. But back to Adrian. Always good to see you. And yeah, it was, I like not killing. Not killing is good. Even spiders. So thumbs up on that. And then we have, was that not Kuro? Or no, that was Adrian. And then we have not Kuro. Not Kuro. ADHD is a joy, isn't it? That's why I went and took Ritalin last night and this morning. Insignificant Nick. Yeah, it startled the snot out of me too. And then that is it. 11 people. Thumbs up and thank you so very much. Each and every one of you. Get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only for a short time and only in text. But it is appreciated greatly. And of course, if you've watched this far, thumbs up, thank you so very much. The great majority of people stop watching videos after the first 1 to 3 minutes. And that includes people like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, and all these other bigger YouTubers. So I'm not alone in having that huge drop-off. Nobody has forced you to watch. If you do, it is appreciated to no end. Thumbs up and thank you. So I'm just going to take it easy. I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima and playing D100 Dungeon. I still want to get more Grim Dawn in. I've been playing a first-person shooter called Forgive Me, Father, that is a horror, not roguelike, but it's a horror first-person shooter. So there's a lot of stuff I want to do because ADHD is fun. And of course, with all the diseases out there and the covfefe bug still raging and killing, and polio is coming back in the US, please take appropriate precautions for your area, whether that includes vaccinations or boosters, masks, hand washing, social distancing. Just be safe, be smart, don't get sick. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is a very good thing.